Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah,
We got it! We got it!
You 52 booklet.
somebody clip this one.
Welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I am Jared, and today we are discussing Logan, aka the finale of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I say
We're gonna keep making him do this till he's 90.
Yeah, it is kind of odd covering this movie after Deadpool Wolverine, right?
Yeah. And also, you know what? The fun fact: this was the first rated R film in the MCU, or in the Marvel films.
Actually, no. It was Deadpool was the first one because Deadpool was successful enough that it proved to Marvel and Fox that they could do an R-rated superhero film and still make a lot of money. So really, this is because of Deadpool that this came out.
I mean, if you want to get like really technical, we could say Blade was, but we're splitting hairs there.
The one that they actually accept as a superhero movie, because here's the thing: yes, Blade is like the first black superhero movie, the first R-rated superhero movie, but they don't acknowledge it as a superhero movie for some reason. They still don't.
I've trust me, I've gone on many rants, but that's dumb.
So this movie is very, very, very loosely based on Old Man Logan, like practically a name only, in that there's an old man and his name is Logan.
I didn't know I was in this movie.
But your name's not Logan. So,
but I'm an old man.
This movie picks up in the future, and what's kind of cool about this is it's a mystery, because apparently the premise of this movie is that there hasn't been a new mutant in like a decade. In other words, no one has been born that has the X gene. Now, the movie doesn't necessarily explicitly tell you. They give you these pieces and let you like piece it together, which I very much enjoy. It kind of adds in the rewatch value as you go through it, because I notice stuff and I'm like, oh, that's what they meant when they said that. Plus,
it's very implied show don't tell kind of thing.
So Nick, why don't you like recount to the audience essentially the premise of why there hasn't been a new mutant, if you can.
All right. So what Minister Sinister has been doing, because his SX Corporation, I love how like they were low key trying to like build up to Minister Sinister and they never actually got to go through with it. That was funny. But they've been putting additives in the corn syrup and in lots of other things. Like, that's why in the movie you always see them, like, people drinking, like, that one cola. Mm-hmm. And it is acting as a suppressant for the mutant gene. So it's not to say that mutants aren't still being born, it's just that the gene itself is being suppressed. Which also explains why, after 200 years, it's only now that Wolverine is starting to deteriorate. Because, you know, he's consuming food that has this mutant suppressant thing, and it's basically lowering his powers, and a lot of his healing factor goes towards keeping back the adamantium poisoning. And now that his healing factor is, you know, it's not as good as it used to be because of this, he's starting to deteriorate. I think it's a very brilliant explanation for a lot of things.
Yeah. What do you want to say, Teladia?
I was going to say, it's also interesting how none of the other X-Men are in this film, right? They give it because they die essentially, and Logan,
the Westchester incident,
and Logan is the last X-Men to be the last man standing, basically, and he's the one.
You could say it's a last stand.
No, get him out of here.
But what I was going to get at, though, is the fact that I think this film as well was very, you know, done really well because it was done by James Mangold, right? So if anyone can do Logan justice, an old man Logan justice is James Mangold because he has that, you know, feel to it, right? And not only did he do this film in color, but I think he did this in black and white.
Yeah, there's also a black and white version that's on the copy I have. What I like about but on this, thank you, silly girl. What I like about this movie is it starts off. So Logan's a limo driver, and the limo is getting low jacked. So he tries to like pop his claws, but they're not like all coming out all the way to the point where
Whiskey dick of the claws.
Yeah, to the point where as soon as he like he has to actually pull out the claw all the way. It's so to next point. It's making it sound like he's like falling apart.
Yeah, and like Wolverine, it's not like he's like 80 years old. No, he's over 200 years old in this in this version. So why is he only now starting to get old? It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So then so one day he gets approached by this woman that apparently is like, you have to get us to North Dakota to the border because I have this girl that we find out later has Logan's powers, and we need to get her to safety. Spoiler alert: this is Laura Kinney X-23, the same Laura Kinney X-23 from Deadpool and Wolverine. That was confirmed.
Let's just say that Laura needs to take a flight, an alpha flight, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, it's most likely. Yeah, exactly.
We'll get to that when we get there.
Yeah, but the point is she has all his powers and stuff. So, and what's kind of funny is that so Charles Xavier is alive, but he has essentially Alzheimer's. And what's kind of interesting, Logan keeps him in this like essentially water tower, this crashed water tower, because it blocks his like mental abilities. Because as Charles has gone old, this movie answers the question: what happens when a psychic starts to deteriorate mentally, and it's not good at all.
He's basically a walking UMD.
Yes, exactly. And that's what happened to the X-Men. We find out later is that he had one of these attacks and Logan was the only survivor.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh man, that's got it. So after surviving Sentinels, an evil Jean Grey, the third X-Men movie, all the X-Men just get killed by a brain fart. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been.
And the thing is, so
Sorry.
the Westchester incident is said to have happened like 2024, 2025. So this it only happens like 2 or 3 years after the good ending of Days of Future Past.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, we survived everything, and Logan survived like those wars. Oh no. So, what do you want to say, Teladia?
You know, I would have loved to have seen, you know, Charles have that mini episode at the mansion and killing all of the X-Men. And
I'm surprised that wasn't like a short that they released on like the DVD or
I think it's better that it was implied because the way the movie structures it, like, oh, something happened, the Westchester incident, and then we have the incident in Las Vegas, and then we realize, holy crap, this is what happened in Westchester. I think having like the middle of the movie where he has it at the hotel, like it's basically the Westchester incident again, and I feel like having that, giving everyone a realization, like after the build up of like what happened, and you realize, holy crap, Xavier is a danger to everyone. I think seeing it after having it built up is a lot more effective storytelling, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm saying they could have at least done it as a deleted scene and then included it on the DVD, so it could be like, okay, we can see them and stuff. That would have been pretty cool.
Perhaps.
So what's immediately like shown in this movie is that this is so much more of a bloody X-Men movie than like the other X-Men movies. And the funny part about this, and I thought about this back in like a very early Under Two Capes episode when I talked about Venom, I was like, there are some characters that in order to do them justice, you really have to do R. Wolverine is one of them. Venom's the other one. Because these are bloody characters and you can't censor that really. And Logan shows what happens when you just let loose. And Deadpool and Wolverine also shows that as well. It's just like Deadpool. You can't do a PG-13 Deadpool. You know how I know? We did it! And it butchered the character. I mean, you can, they did like an alternate cut, but ultimately you have to do like Deadpool Wolverine.
To do him in his full form, let's say that. Like, you can get away with it, but to get the full power of Deadpool, it needs to be R.
Yeah. So essentially, Laura stowaways in Logan's limo. They go to his like little cabin, and then like all the mutant hunters show up. The Reavers show up.
A longtime villain of Wolverine, by the way.
Yes, they show up and they're like, "Hey, just give us the girl, and we'll get out of there." Then I like the way the scene is shot. So a couple of the Reavers go in and like Laura's like eating cereal. All of a sudden you hear them screaming. She walks out carrying a bag. She throws it. It's their heads. And then walks forward. Then all of a sudden you just see the claws fall down. And then you learn she also has a toe claw, which here's the thing. When they invented Laura Kinney, it was said on a Comic Historian podcast, and I kind of agree with this, that they should have called her Raptor instead of Wolverine.
So you're saying,
oh god!
So you're saying Baby Hand is in this film?
So fun fact.
Yeah, go ahead.
X-23 is basically the Harley Quinn of the X-Men verse because she first premiered in X-Men Evolution.
I have to only say that much because then YouTube will ding me. But yeah, that is really cool. And this is her live action debut, I believe, in terms of like any type of live action media, which is pretty cool. I feel like they did a great job. And Dafne Keen definitely communicated the sort of social awkwardness / latent hostility of
she's definitely Logan's daughter. Let's just put it that way.
That's the funny part, because when they escape from Pierce and the Reavers, I like how Charles is trying to say she's your daughter, Logan. She's like, who does she remind you of?
My favorite scene in the movie is like after the hospital, and it's revealed that she was able to speak English this entire time.
Yeah.
And they just have like, that is like the most daddy-daughter conversation they have in the entire movie, and I freaking love it.
No, you know what's my favorite scene? When he walks in and Logan's reading an X-Men comic. That is so meta. Where he's like, looks like we got an X-Man fan. None of this happened.
Or not like this.
I love Wolverine. I love Wolverine being like a veteran watching a military movie saying, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong.
It's like, I would know. I was there. I was literally there.
Yeah, exactly. That is like one of the best moments. And I remember a meme came out of this movie where it's like that scene of him reading the comic, and he says, you may be cool, but you'll never be Wolverine reading X-Men comics cool. And I'm like, yep, that makes sense. And so they go to the hotel, and then as like Wolverine is like taking care of things, he's like selling the car. All of a sudden, the attack happens again with the mine. It turns out that like Charles has to take like pills in order to like keep it suppressed. So he doesn't have another like essentially brain seizure is kind of what it is. So this is a great scene that like the screen is shaking, but Logan is like trying to like he's like clawing into the wall trying to get to people, but as he passes a Reaver, he's just stabbing into a dude's head. He's killing them as he's walking by. Like, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I love like the look of the Reaver, like, oh shit, like he knows he's gonna die.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, and I can't even move. So they get out, and their car. So they like they're driving down the road. This is where we get the reference to the Westchester incident, where like the news is like, this is similar to the events that happened a couple years ago at the Westchester incident. And then what we find out is, so they're driving, and then they help this family like get the horses off the road, and
Like,
then
Xavier uses his powers to get them off the road.
yeah, exactly. And then the family essentially puts them up for the night, and then Logan helps the dude like essentially mend fences and stuff. And then this is where we also get the idea that like, oh, the corn is like in everything, and you have the robots doing all the farming, so they put stuff in the food, and that's essentially, again, this movie is like one of those things where you have to watch it over and over and over again in order to get all the pieces, because the pieces are all there. You just have to put together. And I like that, where it relies on the audience's own intuition, because under any other director, particularly a certain director that wrote and directed Firefly, he would just tell you everything because he's lazy. That would be it. It would just tell you everything. So
yeah, I like how this film kind of plays into like the old conspiracy of like they're putting stuff in the water that's affecting us.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get so Essex happens to have two clones of Wolverine. One kind of is Laura,
X-23.
So he has X-24. So I like the way this scene is framed. So as Charles is sleeping, he's talking to Logan, and then Charles knows what happened to the X-Men at this point. So he's like, he's basically breaking down and saying he's sorry. Then Wolverine pops his claws into his chest and basically kills Charles.
You're not doing it justice. You're not doing it justice.
Go ahead.
So this was after they had dinner, okay? And basically he but at this time that they are masquerading as the Howlets, where Charles is his father and Laura is his daughter. So they're a family. They're masquerading as a family. Pretty like I love how his alias is actually his real name. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, because no one else really knows James Howlett is his real name.
Yeah, I mean Xavier probably knows, but anyway. So they have like a normal family dinner, and as Logan is walking in, Xavier is telling him how, oh, this felt so nice, the normal family dinner, you thought, this is really nice. And then Logan just goes and kills him, and that's the heartbreaking thing is you have a moment of happiness. And then it's crushed from you. And I just want to say, as a person who helped take care of a man who wasted away through similar types of things, I just got to give a shout out to Patrick Stewart. The way he acted a dementia-ridden man was so spot on. Like, honestly, when I look at like his performance as Charles Xavier, I see the man that I had to bury. I'm obviously not going to say his name for privacy reasons, but rest in peace, sir. You're a good one. But I don't know, like his performance kind of hits home for me. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So then he takes Logan, and I love the way the scene is shot. So X-24 is coming down the stairs as Logan is trying to run up the stairs, and they just look at each other, and Logan's like, what the hell?
I'm you, but better.
Yeah, exactly. So they have like a fight, and essentially what's kind of cool is previously
on X-Men.
Yeah, Logan had pissed off some farmers that were screwing with the farmer that was putting him up. So they show up, and they think that X-24 is Logan, so like they attack him, and this puts like X-24 in a berserker rage, because essentially X-24 is Logan but without the humanity. He's just the animal, and he just tears them apart in all the R-rated goodness. It was so good. It was so cool and bloody. And then he essentially, Caliban is like another mutant. He was in Days of Future. No, he was in Apocalypse. Fun fact: the reason why he was in Apocalypse and Logan is because the two teams that were working on these movies didn't communicate on which mutants they were using. It had nothing to do. They're not connected. It's just that. So they were trying to use Caliban to like track Logan and Laura and stuff. But so Caliban essentially blows up the truck and like sacrifices himself and heavily damages X-24.
Dude, he went out like a mother frickin' boss.
Yeah.
Like, I love the line he says, "When in darkness, search for the light."
Mm-hmm.
And Caliban is allergic to light. So like, oh my god, he went like he does like the perfect movie line and then goes out.
Yeah, and then so then Logan like drives down the road and has to bury Charles, and I kind of like the scene where like he buries Charles, goes and tries to and starts the truck, but it won't start, so he's like beating the crap out of the truck until he just collapses, and then Laura has to drive him to a vet.
Yeah, I think Laura was a little bit sympathetic towards him after this.
Yeah, exactly, because she kind of saw that he essentially had a family. So Charles is dead now. Charles Xavier's dead, and I'm like, oh man,
he had to go, and not only that, but like Charles Xavier is like, for a man of his greatness, literally get buried in a pauper's grave on the side of the road with like a stone maybe to mark his neck. I'm sorry. Charles Xavier deserved a hero's funeral.
Mm-hmm. So then Laura finally speaks English and convinces Logan to like drive to North Dakota. She also finds an adamantium bullet and a gun. Essentially, Logan's plan is he's going to shoot himself in the head and like end his existence, because the adamantium bullet can at this point with his healing factor, because when they did it in X-Men Origins, his healing factor was still in full force, so that's why even though it wiped his memory, he still healed from it.
Exactly.
That's the thing. So they get there, and I like how Laura has to essentially finish driving him. And then they find like this enclave of mutant children that are all from the Essex Corporation, because they were trying to breed, I think, child soldiers or something like that. That was like their big plan.
Yeah, they had essentially done like taken the DNA of heroes and essentially created clones. Laura's not his daughter, but she is a clone made from Logan's DNA. So essentially, is Logan's daughter.
So this movie had the following scene has like a lot of references. First, they inject him in this blue goo that like neutralizes the healing factor suppressant that he's using. So now he's naturally healing, and as he's sleeping and thrashing about, he wakes up with a start, and then and then they have a conversation, and then Laura asks Logan, "Who's Victor?" And I'm like, "Oh, Sabretooth reference, Sabretooth." And so I really like that. And I also liked when the kids are like giving Logan like essentially a beard trim, and they give him the Wolverine beard.
Yeah, they give him the mutton chops and the haircut.
So then he wakes up, and they're being hunted by the Reavers and the drones and stuff. So Logan is like running after them, but he's like out of steam. So he essentially, Laura had given him a syringe of the stuff and says, "Take this in small doses and you'll be fine." He puts the needle in his neck and then just downs the entire thing.
Yeah, and he's told if he takes too much of the medicine, he will die. So that's the thing about this moment is he sees the children are having problems, and he's the only one that can save them, because they show him running through the forest, and he's like out of breath, he's out of shape, he can't do it. So he knows that if he takes the full force of the drug, he'll be able to help. But it's essentially the last ride of the gunslinger. Yeah, we'll get to the Western like parallels here, but
yeah. So
wait. I want to set this up, please. So knowing this, he takes a medicine, and then he goes.
So they're attacked. So the kids are being attacked. Laura kills a Reaver. All of a sudden, you hear the Wolverine scream, and then the scene cuts, and you see Logan like running full force, and then you hear a Reaver say, "It's the Wolverine!" And then they're shooting at him, and he's like tearing them apart. They're like flying everywhere. Then he like dives at someone, sticks the claws in, pulls it out, and just roars like Wolverine. And I'm like,
because he knows what he's doing.
He's back.
And then Laura says, "We took too much of the medicine." I love that line.
Yeah, exactly. And so we get an awesome fight scene team up between Logan and Laura.
Get behind me.
Yeah. And then they unleash, and then the kids. So one of the Reavers, Donald, the main antagonist, unleashes X-24 again. So as X-24 is fighting Logan, the kids ambush Donald and kill him in the most gruesome way possible. Like now all of a sudden he becomes one with the earth essentially. Yes. And I'm watching this and I'm like,
he's become one with the Force. The Force is with him.
Yeah. So X-24 finally like impales Wolverine on a tree, but Laura shoots him in the head with the adamantium round, and it like blows up part of his head. But I'm like, he has the full force of the healing factor, so why would he not heal?
I mean, does he have the healing factor? I mean, did we?
Yeah, they did. At least I think they did. Okay, the point is, okay, let's assume they don't, so we don't have to deal with a logically inconsistent.
Yeah.
Then we get, so this is the scene. This is retroactively the scene that Yuriko saw in Wolverine when she says there's blood everywhere, you're holding your heart in your hands, and you're dying.
Like, I guarantee you, when they wrote that scene in the Wolverine, they didn't mean this. No. But I'm sure when they wrote Logan, they had it in their head.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of funny. That's partly why we covered the Wolverine first, because of this. And Wolverine dies. But also, they bury him in a grave, and they give him, they take the little cross made of wood, tilt it to the side so it says an X. And then Laura also, for her eulogy, she uses the closing speech of Shane, which was the movie that she and Charles had watched in the hotel room in Oklahoma City.
Which essentially this movie is kind of an homage to.
Go ahead.
So this movie is very much presented like a modern Western. And I think them watching Shane, with the movie Shane, it's about a retired gunslinger who's brought out of retirement for one more job. He's a killer, and he has to protect a town. And so this movie is presented as a Western, and Wolverine essentially basically gets one last ride as a gunslinger, as I mentioned, and then he passes away. Like the fact that they set it in like the Western towns and just kind of like a Southwest Mexico, very Western-y feel, Las Vegas. It's very intentional, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Wolverine is another one of those characters that also has kind of similarities to a cowboy / gunslinger, essentially. So it really works.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go around and we're going to talk about our general thoughts on the movie, what we enjoyed. Maybe we'll give some criticism. So Teladia, you can go first.
Okay, so you're saying positives, right?
Positives first, and then give like a negative if you can.
Okay, so positive, I felt like the level of story, in depth of the story, was really well done. The character development between Logan and Laura was also pretty well done, because we got to see her from being, weaponized, then released, and then her relationship with Logan. I thought that was pretty well done. I felt really sad for Charles Xavier. Luke can't control himself because of his Alzheimer's, and the fact that you really do feel emotion and attached for these characters. obviously the villain, obviously I thought was okay, but that's kind of a negative in my opinion. Um, I wish there was like a cut scene though, or sorry, end post credit scene, which leads into that would have been, it would have been cool if Ryan Reynolds and uh Hugh Jackman, were gonna do, like, if they did this a few years back.
I don't
then
think even Deadpool 2 would come out when Logan was released.
Deadpool and Wolverine came out after because they referenced the death of Wolverine. Like,
yeah,
right
I'm just
in the
saying. Like,
beginning,
I don't think Deadpool 2 would even come out when Logan was released.
Mm-hmm.
it would have been
Yeah.
cool, like, to see like something like obviously did this. I think they swore in it. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They will.
Well, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting to see Deadpool come up in as a post credit saying, "Oh, I gotta go save the thing," and that's it, and it cuts out.
Or
at the
like
end.
he just shows up and says, so now you're dead. Now I got to carry this entire franchise on my shoulders. That would have been hilarious.
See,
I would have enjoyed that.
I disagree very
Mhm.
passionately, but I'm not going to say anything.
Understood.
That's
So,
understandable.
how about a negative?
Oh, he's. I think he said some negatives, but
Yeah, I think the
Oh.
villain wasn't
Villain
that
wa-
brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. The villain was kind of weak. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he wasn't that brilliant. You know who would have been? I would have loved to have seen to return though.
Who?
Would have been that guy? What's that dude's name who played Sabretooth?
Liev Schreiber?
Yeah, to come back at
That
least
would
to
have
have
been
that.
cool.
also,
That
can
was-
I just say it? This is going to be a hot take. I actually prefer Liam Schreiber, Sabretooth, to Tyler Mane.
Me too.
Tyler Mane was fine for that movie, but Liam Schreiber, like, he's actually an actor, and I think he was just so good at his version of Sabretooth.
He made Sabretooth a character and not just a side thug.
Yeah, exactly.
And he
Right.
got words.
Yeah, he has. So, all right. So, Nick, your thoughts, your positives, your negatives. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say this right now. This is a 10 out of 10 movie, even on the Nick scale. So any negatives I say will be nitpicks. I actually do agree with Teladia, though. The villains do leave a bit to be desired. The villains are essentially minions of the greater threat, which is essentially Minister Sinister, because Essex Corporation is the one leading this. Plus, like, the whole, like, Children of the Mutants thing, they didn't really spend much time on that kind of plot line, even though it's like the backbone of the story. So they felt like they could have dealt more time into that. What I really enjoyed is they definitely did a show don't tell approach until they actually came time to tell, where basically they had this woman create a documentary on her phone, basically info dumping the entire thing. I thought that was a bit clunky, doing it that way, but it is what it is. The relationship between Laura and Wolverine was really good. You can tell they really bonded. Even now, when they got reunited in the movie, they just kind of picked up where they left off. I'm excited for X-23 to have a future in the MCU. Notice I'm calling her X-23.
They'll call her Wolverine.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
I hope they. Trust me, the press would love for her to be Wolverine, but I think Marvel's learning their lesson.
They're still releasing Ironheart.
Well, that's the last message of it anyway. They probably filmed most of that.
Ms.
before it was
Marvel.
that one was actually decent.
And at the end of the Marvels, they set up the Young Avengers. So,
I mean, how many post-credit scenes have we had that went nowhere?
I don't know. We'll see. But I'm saying don't let your guard down with Marvel. That's all I'm saying, because
I mean, that's fair, but I don't know. I'm more of a positive outlook kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of, for me, I like the movie a lot. I like the references to it, to X-Men lore. I agree with Nick. I like how it just presents like some little tidbits here and there of what happened and relies on the intelligence of the audience in order to understand what's going on. Granted, does that mean maybe you have to watch them multiple times in order to understand everything? Yeah, sure. But this movie is good enough that I like watching this movie again. I love the lore. Yeah, the villains kind of sucked because it's like I didn't get a lot of information as to why like Donald Pierce is the dude, the main Reaver. What's motivating him to do all this? And it's like the scientist is just studying mutants, and I'm like, okay, but it's something I would have also liked. I agree with Teladia to see like some references to other characters, like Lee Schreiber, Sabretooth. At least maybe he goes and visits Sabretooth's grave or something like that to like. So it's like one final bit of closure. Because remember, at the time this movie came out, this was the last Hugh Jackman as Wolverine movie.
Exactly.
So it was like at the time, ignoring Deadpool Wolverine, at the time, they could have at least done more to wrap it up. They still did it satisfactorily. So that's why I'm not really like, oh my gosh, this sucks. They didn't address this. They did it good enough that I'm not going to take off points. So yeah, I do agree. It's a solid 10 out of 10 movie.
To be here, the whole prior to Deadpool and Wolverine, the Fox universe went out on such whimper. Like, remember, for like at least 5 years, Dark Phoenix was the last of the Fox movies. I mean, thankfully, Deadpool and Wolverine gave a proper closure to the universe. Thank God for that. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds. But before that, Dark Phoenix was the last in the franchise, and it was such a whimper.
And yeah, so now that we've completed that movie, we talked about that. Where does this rank on your ratings of X-Men movies? Because currently, this is my number 1 favorite X-Men movie.
No X2. I'd say it's definitely in like my top 5, maybe my top 3, but definitely the top 5. I don't know. It's kind of hard to top X. Yeah.
For me, it's like top 3, I would say, not including Deadpool and Wolverine. So,
what's your top 3, Teladia?
So obviously, right now is I think X2 is up there.
Okay.
Then it's Logan. Then it's I would say the Wolverine.
Oh, the Wolverine, that's a good one. With me, it's what do I want to put? Because obviously, I'm gonna exclude the Deadpool movies. I'm talking about the X-Men movies. Yeah, it's Logan, X2, and Days of Future Past.
Oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm like you guys forgot.
Can I be honest?
Continuity. Yeah, go ahead.
I like Days of Future Past, but I don't get why people think it's like such GOAT tier. Like, it's not bad. Like, if you want to talk GOAT tier, First Class, honestly, doesn't get the respect it deserves, in my opinion.
Well, compared to like compared to the other movies in that continuity, it is the best one of the ones in that continuity, short of First Class. I
just don't really see why people just fall head over heels for Days of Future Past. Like, I like the movie. It's like an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me, but I'll be like, oh, it's just like the best movie, and the like, no, it's not.
It's not the best, but I like this way. Of the ones that came out for that continuity, it's the one I enjoy the most.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. You like what you like. I'm just saying I don't understand why people rank it so highly. That's I'm not saying people are wrong for it. I just say I don't understand it. So.
So Nick, how about your top 3 X-Men movies?
Deadpool notwithstanding. Okay. Gosh, number 1 and 2 is like X2 and First Class are fighting for first place on that one. So I'm just going to do 1 or 2. They're interchangeable depending on the day. 3 would probably be, honestly, Logan. And if I were to have a top 4, then I would probably put the Wolverine and then the first X-Men movie. That'd probably be my top 5.
Okay, there you go. That's a good one. I do enjoy those. Now, all right. So now what we're going to talk about, now we can go into a general question and answer session before we wrap up. So you in the chat, if you got questions for us, it could be about Logan or about really anything, let me know. Drop them in the chat and we'll be sure to answer them.
Let's trigger Jared and ask him to rant about Lois Lane again.
Oh, trust me. I could be going for many hours about that, but I'm not going to.
So Teladia, I have a question for you, sir.
Go on.
What is a superhero movie that other people are like head over heels for their love for that you do not understand? Like you think is overrated, or you do not understand why people love a movie a lot? Like, that's the question for you.
That's a really good question.
Like, do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
Like, for example, an MCU film.
MCU right. Superhero, any superhero film.
Any superhero film. Okay, I would have to say what was really overrated, in my opinion. And,
remember, these are our opinions. These are our opinions.
And I would have to say, it's not a Spider-Man film at all. I would have to say Iron Man 2.
Well, Iron Man 2 seems to get, hated a lot, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a lot of, people say, oh, dude, it's a really good film because you got this, you got, this, you got War Machine, you got this. I'm just like, it's supposed to be about Iron Man 2. It's not supposed to be about... So
yeah, I can get that. Oh, we got a while beyond
the movie. Hey, what's up? Q&A. Yeah, it's exactly. Cameron asked, do you guys think Marvel should try and go in the direction of Logan for a while, or is it too late? What do you mean by the direction of Logan?
He means
more mature storytelling.
Yeah, in that case, yeah. If it's appropriate for the character, I say do that. Like with Deadpool, Wolverine, with this, with Venom. In other words, incorporate more mature movies in here. Yes, absolutely. Making R-rated films. Yes. If it's appropriate for the character that they're adapting, yes, do it.
Imagine an R-rated Ghost Rider film.
I was literally about to say that. That would be freaking dope.
So, Jared, now I turn to you. What do you think is an overrated superhero film that everyone seems to just praise to the moon?
James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I'm sorry, I freaking hate it because it relies way too much on foul language and penis jokes for me to care.
That James Gunn in general, though.
The joke just goes on for over and over, and I'm like, stop!
And King Shark is not a shark.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
He's a king shark.
I had to put that emphasis in there.
Yeah, but in terms of now, I'm gonna do you one better, Nick. Let's flip the question. What's a superhero movie that people hate that you think is pretty good? I'll start with Nick.
Oh crap! I actually got to think about that one. So give me a second.
All right, Teladia, go. Well,
actually,
man, thanks.
Actually, this is gonna get me canceled, but Black Panther. I think it's a decent film. It's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. But that film has glaring issues. Like T'Challa is a side character in his own movie. Obviously the CGI stuff. But it has very big story issues. And also T'Challa gets a huge downgrade from Civil War. Like Civil War T'Challa is badass. This one
and he doesn't have a nanotech suit.
Also I'm going to say Endgame sucks. Infinity War is Infinity War Infinity War is a movie you can watch on its own and still enjoy it. Thanos is a protagonist of that movie. Endgame, you literally have to watch 10 years worth of movies in order to truly get it. It's basically we're talking about all the member berry stuff that we complain about now. They're doing it back then. Like, hey, remember the Battle of New York? Oh, hey, remember this? Oh, wait. Sorry.
How about you, Teladia?
Okay, everyone hates the film that we like. Is Zack Snyder Justice League?
No one. Here's the thing: not enough people hate that movie, though.
No, you got the MCU shills, and you got the James Gunners that
There you go.
they're like, oh, Zack is overrated. I'm like, no. Zack is a visionary. He's a revolutionary. He revolutionized superhero for crying out loud. He made Superman cool again. He made Aquaman cool.
I love how every time you take a Marvel stand, you sit them down and make them watch Man of Steel. They're like, holy crap, this is actually a good movie.
And whenever you watch, and whenever like you watch a video and it's like Marvel fan reacts to Zack Snyder's Justice League, they're like, "Can we get more of this?"
Yeah, they're like, "Can we get more of this, please? Can we?"
Yeah, exactly.
I love those videos.
And literally, people don't get it right. Zack knows how to make characters cool. Zack made Aquaman cool. Zack made the Flash cool, right? With his speed.
I mean, let's be honest. Zack Snyder deserves the title of greatest director on the universe. For he is the only one who actually coaxed a good performance out of Ezra Miller. He is the only one to have coaxed an actual enjoyable performance out of Ezra Miller. Because like the Ezra Miller in ZSJL is like an entirely different person you see him in The Flash or literally anything else. He's the only person to actually get a good performance. I that deserves a Nobel Peace Prize alone for the Herculean effort.
There you go. That's a good one.
But I was going to say this, right? A lot of people don't seem to realize, right? The thing is with Zack's new project, Twilight of the God, he's actually made Thor a badass, right?
Yeah. After the MCU butchered him, here's Zack Snyder going, "I got it."
Yeah. So he's got, dude, you want me to tackle Norse mythology? Here you go.
I was watching a video by this channel I used to watch. I'm not going to name names because I don't do that. But then the guy titles the video like Zack Snyder's gonna now ruin Norse mythology, and I'm like, no. I'm not taking you seriously if that's the way you're gonna phrase stuff, dude. Sorry.
Myself in comments is asking me repeat that, Teladia.
But
Bianca's tearing up the comments.
My bathroom lights are too loud. Lights are too loud. Okay.
Bianca, I don't know what hallucinogenic mushrooms you munched on, but can I have some?
But all in all right. So let's get another quick question in the chat, or boys, if you guys have any questions for the panel, go ahead.
Yeah.
I got any questions? Oh, I was about to ask if you had one, so thank you.
I have a question. Like, what is your take on Zack Snyder's Twilight of the Gods compared to, let's say, Phase 1's Thor film? Like, comparing them both.
Well, he's actually giving a Thor that's good. So, as opposed to Taika Waititi's Thor, who was a
this is
moron.
This is not Taika Waititi's Thor. This is the Thor from the first film, the first Thor film Kenneth Branagh did.
I need to watch more of the actual series in order to like determine how I would rate this depiction of Thor. I will say though, I give the advantage to Zack. Here's why I can say that before I even watch the show. When Zack handles godlike characters like the Justice League, he handles them very well. So what I'm going to say is provisionally, I trust Zack to handle gods. That's what I'm going to say there.
Okay.
So, in terms of, let me ask you this. What do you think of Twilight of the Gods?
Oh, dude, it's off the chain, dude. What I mean by off the chain, I'm going to enjoy this series because you got a bloody Thor. Yes, you got sex scenes in it. Yes, you got dragons in it. You got all this stuff, and all these, I would say, we people will go running. They would watch this stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the trailer so I can drop in the chat so we can get a live reaction from Nick. But so far, it's not here. Let let me see. Netflix.
What's Twilight of the God?
Yeah.
Twilight of the God is Zack Snyder's latest series on Netflix.
It's an animated Norse mythology series.
Yeah, it's a Norse mythology series. It's on Netflix, coming in September. So stay tuned for Jared and myself and Nick, if he's around. Well, if he's free, that is, if Nick's free, for us to react to it.
That'll be fun. I'm definitely gonna definitely enjoy it. I can't find it, but let me see if it's on here, Twitter.
It will be on Twitter.
Yeah, it should be. So actually, I think Zach shared it as a matter of fact. So that should be really easy.
I would hope he shared his trailer.
All right, so Nick, here's where we're gonna do this. I'm gonna send you the trailer on Twitter, and you're gonna live react to it. All right?
You're assuming I haven't seen it before. I mean, you're assuming correctly, but that's you know.
All right. So
I actually have not seen it before, so this will be a fresh viewing.
All right, it is sent.
All right.
And yes, Bianca says it's almost September. That's the reason to be really hyped.
All right. All right. Starting it now. One sec. Let me. If I'm gonna do this, might as well do it proper. I'll turn on my cam. I won't have the best lighting because I wasn't planning on turning on my cam. But facial reactions seem like a must for this. So, all right. Again, sorry, I don't have the best thing, but I wasn't planning. All right. Full screen and what the fuck? Oh,
Oh boy.
sorry. I'm sorry.
All good.
The first thing that happens is
Yeah, I know.
oh god, it keeps like stuttering. Okay. Oh, come on. All right, fine. It'll like go for like okay. I'm looking up a YouTube version of this.
It's not on YouTube. Tell you what, let me try this. I'll pull it up on Twitter on my thing.
No.
Okay.
You sure you don't want to think because
because it like goes for like 1 second and then it stutters. So I'm sorry, I can't watch this.
All right, so we'll check it out later. But anyway, so that's pretty much what we got planned for today. So in terms of like Comicsly, Britt and I are going to record an episode talking about Crisis, the DCEU Crisis on Infinite Earths, how we would handle a live action Crisis movie. I think Britt, if I remember the notes correctly,
Jared,
trilogy. What?
You said it's not on YouTube, right?
No, this trailer is not on YouTube. The actual trailer, because the things that are on there should be are stuff that was posted 2 months ago. I just checked.
Actually, I think I got a version where someone ripped it. So let's try this again.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like a minute, and it was uploaded a day ago.
Okay,
so.
That should be it.
Oh god, that Loki.
There you go.
So much blood. So much blood. Oh, that's an answer, right? Blood.
So much blood.
So much blood. Sex.
I love how he just said,
oh god. Oh god. Dragons. They can kill dragons.
Yes.
Oh wow.
My reaction when I saw this. Holy moly.
I'm sorry for cursing.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But so, what'd you think?
That was a lot
Mhm.
of blood.
Tell me that's not a Zack Snyder thing.
It's definitely one of the Zack Snyder films of all time.
Yeah, and it's a animated series, so it's not. How'd the animation look? I want to ask you this. How'd the animation look?
Oh, pretty decent. Fairly unique. It's still got kind of like that flat minimalist style that's been infecting animation for like the past 10 years, but looks like they're trying something different at least.
Yep, that's cool. Hunter, did you talk to William Powell about just... No, I didn't. But anyway, in terms of, let's see. Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So in terms of Comics League, Britt and I tonight are going to be recording Super Wonder Legacy, where we're going to be talking about a Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy, a live action one, and how it would transition from the Gunverse to the Snyderverse. Then we're for Under Two Capes, I haven't exactly figured out what I want to do. And in terms of the other content, we haven't really planned out next week yet, but as soon as we do, we will let you guys know. Teladia, where can we find you and what have you got coming on your channel?
Okay, so you can check me out on Twitter at Teladia Plays, _ on YouTube. You can check me out at Teladia Plays. What I have got coming up on my channel is tomorrow I will be doing live reactions to Batman Caped Crusader, episode 4. Myself and Jared will be reacting to that. And then next week, Snyder Fans Read Comics will be Forever Evil, where we will be discussing and reacting to that comic and having a discussion of that with myself, Jared, and Bianca. So stay tuned for that on Wednesday.
All right, so Nick, where can we find you and what have you got coming out on your channel?
All right, in less than an hour, me and the rest of the crew are going to be heading into hell itself. That's right, I'm playing Doom 2016. It'll be a good time. I will fail miserably because I'll probably crank it up the hardest difficulty because I like making myself look bad. Hopefully Jared will appear, but there's no guarantee for that, but hopefully he can. But yeah, it'll be pretty freaking sweet. And you find me on Twitter and YouTube, just search the Phoenix Press.
All right. Stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Zoe is the Max about for life. I'll see you later.